And Tammy, you're good to go?
I'm good to go. And we are
She's always good to go. She's always good to go.
Absolutely. Well, I'll call the meeting to order. I understand that Archie is not feeling well today. Mike, are you walking to the kitchen to get your happy hour beverage?
No, I'm not. I'm walking outside because my children are making too much noise.
Children or grandchildren or both?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, can appreciate that. At least it's not too humid today to be outside.
Yeah, there you go.
A couple things. Christina, you had a conversation with Ellen Moyer, I guess yesterday, in regards to the Pitt Moyer Rec Center, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't confidential. We were going to a horse meeting that had nothing to do with City Hall, but I just mentioned to her that that I had read in the paper, Sheila actually cut Sheila's article out, it was about 2 weeks ago, in which she was exploring the idea of merging certain things like the Pitt Moyer Recreation Center and other of our city abilities, turning them over, that's not the right word, turning them over or sharing them with the county. And Ellen said to me that this has been discussed in the past and the county can't afford the Pitt Moyer Recreation Center. She says, don't lose any sleep over that.
Okay, that was very good. That was one thing that I want to bring up in the opening comments. I don't think we're too worried about that, even though Sheila Finlayson and some other people are still pushing for that. But first of all, since we have a quorum, and welcome, Corey. Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you guys.
Or not see us, as the case may be. Since we have a quorum, we have 3 months of outstanding minutes, and I'm sure that you all have pored over them over the last 3 months. And is there any? Does anybody have any comments they would like to add to the minutes?
I looked at them and they're excellent. I looked at each one. I work with Tammy.
Okay.
Good to me.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes for the last 3 months.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tammy, we've done it.
All for Tammy. What would we do without Tammy?
Thank you, guys. I
We lost
appreciate it.
souls. We'd be up a creek.
Well, without Archie, Archie's feeling ill. For Corey, you weren't here earlier. Archie's not feeling very well. So Michelle Cross sent me that he's not going to be able to make it tonight. So we're going to have a lot to talk about as far as that goes. I've seen that there's an awful lot of interest and there's a lot of pressure now for everything to get going on the pool. Does anybody have any input on that?
Well, I thought the pool was already opened and it was a success with Jennifer. Is it Jennifer? Yeah.
I spoke with Jen and she said that it's been phenomenal. You know, because people from out of town and, you know, all over really trying to find places to go to. Mears is too expensive for them. So they're enjoying it. You know,
Gift. It is a gift, especially right now.
Yeah, it would be. Is there any old business that we should go ahead and address right now?
Craig, you probably should mention what you talked to me about this morning, this 2 minutes ago about the board vacancies.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did speak. Chris, Tammy, and I were on a Zoom call in regards to Robert's Rules of Orders. I think that was a week ago, Monday.
A week ago, I thought it was a Wednesday. A week ago Wednesday.
But okay, a week ago Wednesday, and in going over everything, especially about how we set up agendas and what we do on that. But two things that Tammy and I were discussing. Number one, we have 3 more people that are going to be joining our board, which means that we're going to get up almost to full strength with Frank and everybody leaving, which is good. We need that because I think we really want to do a couple things as far as revitalizing the board and getting people involved a lot more than they have been. and making it so the board is really part of it more than has been. So it looks like they're going to be able to join us for the next meeting, which is one of the reasons why it was good to have this vote on the minutes now, when we have a full board here. The second thing is, by tradition, and Christina, help me with this as well, we have not had board meetings in July and August.
Correct.
And-
Never.
and-
Unless it was urgent, unless when we were building the Pit Moyer Recreation Center, we had multiple meetings because of the enormity of it, of the project.
And so I propose and that we not have meetings, and we're certainly able to do this for July and August. So does anybody have a problem with that?
Is there any procedural votes that are required for new board members by
No,
Robert's rules?
as a matter of fact, they are appointed by the mayor, same as
Okay.
we did, but they're approved by city council. It's supposed to be every 3 years. And I think, what wasn't under Panelides, we went 5 years or something like that between Josh and Panelides being there. So,
Yes.
yeah, it was just forever. So by Robert's rules, I don't think that we have to do it. They are
Okay.
appointed, they're appointed by the mayor. And Christine, at one time, they were trying to go ahead and have involvement from each one of the different wards. And I looked into that, and that is not into the bylaws.
Or you are right about that, as far as you could have 2 aldermen from the same ward. Apparently, there are no mandatory rules on that.
Yeah,
But I think it's good to get, I think it's good to have participants come from any ward that is not represented. Or
sure.
or the public. It's more the more we can get the public involved. It's much of it. Sometimes it's a big headache. I know it's a headache, but.
What is the
we do it.
representation of the new members?
I do not know. Hillary didn't share that with me. She didn't even give me their name, so I couldn't even check them out. So, but
Are Corey and I know Eric's with the city. Corey, are you also with the city?
I'm not with the city.
Yeah, I'm with planning and zoning, and I should say Eric Borchers from our office is
We
gonna.
know Eric. We know
Okay.
Eric.
Okay, he's on vacation this week, so I'm sitting in.
For Eric,
Yes, he's sitting in for Eric.
okay.
yes, and thank you for joining us, Carrie. Appreciate it. It was a new name, but oh, and here's Eric and Corey. We've got everybody here now, right? So the next subject I wanted to bring up, and I hope that Archie was going to be able to address it tonight, is that all of the members of the board will be able to have 2 memberships over to Pit Moyer Rec Center. And he was going to, to tell the truth, it was Archie's initiative. And I hope to be able to report back to everybody that we will be able to have that to offer people on the board. I mean, it's not like we're doing this for any other reason except to support the city. But that's a nice way to find out what the heck is going on anyway. So,
Like that.
yeah, why not? Yeah, and 2 people, so, everybody can get there. But I can't report back on that right now. Have you all reviewed all of the programs offered by Jen Jennings and the entire rec park?
Recently, no, we should.
I'll tell you, I stopped by in there the other day, and I'll tell you what, they have really put together a tremendous program.
I'm impressed with Jen, very impressed.
Yeah, and I hope we don't lose her.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of other recs and parks have addressed her, and I think it was a year ago, she was one of the statewide recs and parks program managers, and she won an award for it. So, I don't know. With that, I'll open it up. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up to the table?
Well, Craig, I'm going to bring up what you and I discussed this afternoon. I want to go back to having in-house Pitt Moyer Recreation Department advisory board meetings in the building. We used to have great meetings. They were very substantive. The rooms are huge. We can space 6 feet apart. And most of the people I know have already been vaccinated. And I would like to see City Hall open up in September, or have the Pitt Moyer Recreation Center in which we can have our meetings in-house. Does anybody disagree with me on that? Or
No, but are we required to also provide them virtually because connectivity has been an issue?
I would think, Michael, along those lines, wouldn't it be great to be able to have your option?
Yeah.
I
I agree with Chris. I prefer, it's more dynamic, it's more
substantive?
lively, we have better discussions. But are we required for the time being to also have them virtually?
Tammy, do you have any input on that?
I really don't have anything to say about it because you guys are in charge. I'm just appointed to the board by the city to prepare your minutes. So I pretty much, if I had my way, I like the virtual because it allows me to not have to travel from location to location. But I'm not opposed to doing the in person too, since that's what they're paying me to do.
And
To serve you guys.
Yeah,
Whether it's in
I think we're
person or
just
virtual.
asking for, are other boards required to also offer
Absolutely.
virtual meetings as opposed to you offering an opinion?
Okay, right now, it seems that most of the boards are still doing virtual, but they are allowing, some component of testimony, through Skype or something like that. They're not really going into person, but Hillary is the one that you guys, if you want to talk to, figure out whether they're going to even allow in person, Craig should maybe reach out to Hillary, because it was my understanding that they were not going to be meeting in person until at least September or later. That was the last word I got.
And I would follow that up by saying, number one, if we want to get together, because remember, our next meeting is going to be in September. So therefore, we've got a lot of time to see what's coming down. But number two, Tammy, I would suggest that you would not have to be there because you're recording this anyway. And so why would you have to travel there to put a recorder down on the table?
Well, I think what's going to probably happen if we start doing in person, that the IT folks that are running the meetings will not be recording. So you won't be able to do both. If you either going to be in person or you're going to be virtual.
Oh,
So they won't provide a person that will live stream it on the website, because it'll be in person and I'll be back to recording it.
but then again, you can record that from anywhere. You're here, everything that we're doing right now. You don't have to see the video recording of it, right? Or have the
No.
recording that comes from COTV.
They won't be, the COTV will not be doing it anymore. I will have to go back to recording it.
Mark
Is that making
Hildebrand,
sense?
is that you from boards and commissions?
That's Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan could respond.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really qualified to talk about what the options are right now. I just know it's going to be difficult to have that for everybody.
Well, let's maybe reach out to Hillary and find out what the protocol is.
I'll do that. That's my action item. And see what's going on. Okay, with that being said, I don't think we have any old business to really address.
If you had the agenda, the outside tennis courts was on there, the volleyball concerns. Those were things that Ray and those guys were concerned about. So we could drop those off the agenda if that's no longer a concern. And then Eric Borchers used to give a update on the Poplar Trail extension. I'm not sure if Mr. Lashinsky could give any updates on that. But that was the only thing that was in old business. And Dawn had sink and swim. I'm not sure if she wants to respond to that or not.
I could definitely give a Poplar Trail update if you'd like.
Okay.
Yes, we actually we just put in a grant application to the Maryland Bikeways program. This is a annual grant program that we received a grant for last year for various missing segments in our bike network, and we're actually in the process of selecting a design consultant. Should have that finalized in the next month or so and kick off that project. But the grant, the new grant cycle that just ended last week, we put an application in to widen the Poplar Trail and extend it westward. So the county is just wrapping up a feasibility study on the western expansion of the Poplar Trail. Their interest was in connecting the Poplar Trail to the South Shore Trail, which, if you're familiar, it follows the old WB&A railroad going up towards Odenton, and they're in the process of putting that trail together, but some segments already exist closer to Annapolis along Route 2 and kind of going into the medical center. So
I'm
yeah,
familiar with that. I'm familiar with that.
I mean, this corridor, the mayor refers to it, as the West-East Express, essentially going from downtown, eventually all the way out to Waterworks Park. It's been talked about for a long time, and I feel like we have some momentum, but we're the Poplar Trail is, it's probably more busy than ever, and so we really want to explore widening it, and that's definitely a priority. But we'll have to do that, with the neighbors and bring everybody into that process. If we get that grant, we'll find out in October, I think. So,
The grant's been submitted.
yeah, it has. So it was essentially the same amount. We applied for the same amount that we received last year, which was $224,000, and the city matches with 20%. So we put that money aside, and the state seems like they've been pretty supportive. We hadn't applied to these programs in some years, and we've started to be more regular with it, and they really want us to succeed, I think. So that's been nice.
Yeah, Eric, did they ever figure out how they're going to go parallel to West Street, behind the Graduate and down where the power station is?
Yeah. So we broke that up into two pieces. So what we call the inner we is the eastern extension of the Poplar Trail, kind of behind the Graduate Hotel. And that piece, we're actually going to be working on advancing the design for that with the grant we got last year. And that's the project that's going to kick off this summer. So you'll be hearing about that. Once we have our design team in place, that's one of 4 segments that they're focusing on, but it's probably the most high profile one. And we've been, basically coordinating with the Graduate Hotel and making sure they're on board, and I mean, they are. And then the western side of the Poplar Trail is where the county has done this feasibility study that we should have a draft of next week. And they were looking at a couple routes, but the one the city has really been pushing for would continue along the old railroad corridor. Essentially, where the Poplar Trail ends at Admiral Drive, if you just look across the street, there's, the right-of-way is still there for the old railroad behind Annapolis Gardens and all the West Street businesses. And And, that makes the most sense. It hits West Street at Gibraltar Avenue. And that's where it gets a little tricky, but
A little-
the engineers that have been working on that study have been basically looking at expanding the sidewalk to create a shared use path alongside West Street. And, I think you have to use your imagination a little bit to imagine cyclists along there, but the idea is there would be barriers with the vehicular right of way and some pretty significant striping at all of the driveway entrances. So, to encourage, to maximize safety. And then in the long run, I mean, the idea would be to have some kind of a plan to limit the number of driveway cuts that are allowed on West Street. I mean, as West Street starts to change over, I'm a comprehensive planner, so I'm not, I focus on trails and everything else, but West Street, it's got to change at some point, and we're trying to figure out, the critical path forward on that. But it's got to kind of shift over from being this sort of auto-oriented suburban strip to something that's more safe for pedestrians and cyclists. And but it's
Isn't it technically a state
it
highway?
is.
Not
It
highway,
is.
but
Yeah, it is a state. It's a state road, and so we have to work with the state on everything. But and I would say, like, well, new bike and pedestrian facilities that that's not what people tend to think of them as doing, and they're starting to do more of that. And
Right.
The county did a parole mobility study recently that was approved, and it's a pretty visionary, essentially, transition from parole, to being more of a human scaled place. And I think there's a lot of momentum to make these changes along West Street, but it's going to be incremental. So
And isn't Department of Public Works going to be building a building back in there?
They
It's
are.
going to be their headquarters.
yeah, on Hudson. So there's going to be trucks moving in and
So
out
there's
of
that.
Hudson Street.
but bring your bike. It'll be
They
great.
didn't get the memo, but it happened to be a very sensible location for other reasons, I guess.
I guess.
So good luck to you.
Yeah. All the best.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
So, Craig, one other thing too, you had two other agenda items, the Tour de Franklin race and the marketing meeting.
Well, the Tour de Franklin race, I looked at that, and that's, we've had a couple of conference calls on that with the Maryland Bike and myself, because I put on events. And Archie's the one who's really taken the lead on that. And without him here, we can't really address that.
Okay.
And as
Okay.
far as the marketing that's going to support that, we're probably a year away from having that, because the logistics are not minor. But bicycling is a little bit different than running. So I defer to the other gentleman who was on our call the other day, and we'll be working on that and keeping in touch with it.
Eric will figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're not going on trails though. We're going on road.
I'll put it on my list.
There you go.
And with that, I would bring it up. Are there any other points we'd like to discuss in this? Open the floor. Well, therefore, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
second it. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great to talk with you all. And Michael, we do have to talk in regards to the upcoming events over at Rex and Parks. all the summer series of concerts out there.
Know where I am.
Where? Oh, over Davis's?
Craig.